Today's briefing provides us with some extended time to hear from and engage with staff regarding a topic that has been a focus area for Travel Oregon in Oregon's tourism industry and is near and dear to my heart. So I will turn this over to Todd to introduce the topic and the speakers to us.
All right. Thank you, Chair DeNovo. I can't tell you how excited I am for this presentation. When we were talking about the briefing, and what we wanted to bring to this particular meeting, it just felt right to be able to bring the Commission an in-depth look at the work that the Tribal Tourism Leadership Committee and Travel Oregon have been doing together. And I get kind of choked up because I love this work. I was here in February, same site. We were met here, and as Bobby hosted us, and to be able to be here with representatives of the tribes and talk about our future work together, what the collaboration could look like. A lot of folks had weathered a lot of snow that particular trip, and as I was telling somebody earlier, it was a 6 or 7 hour drive from Portland, Salem, to here for me, and but worth every doggone minute because the richness of the conversation and such has brought us to a really, really beautiful place. And I couldn't be more proud of the work that we are doing together, and you don't want to hear any more from me. You really need to hear directly from the folks that are doing this work. And so it's my pleasure to turn this over to, I believe we're going to start with the two of you, and then the others will join, making sure I got my marching orders right here. So, but Lisa Edel has been shepherding this work for us internally and been a primary liaison for us with the tribes, and especially this particular work. And Michelle, who I've known for many, many years, has been retained by Travel Oregon as a consultant for us to do work with us in this space, and it's good work indeed. So it's my pleasure to turn this first part of the presentation over to Lisa and to Michelle, and then have them bring up the other panelists at the appropriate time. So Lisa, I'll turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Todd, and good afternoon, Commissioners. It's great to see you here in Pendleton, and I just want to thank each of you for asking us to present on this topic on behalf of our agency. Our team is here today, like Todd mentioned, to give you an update on the Tribal Tourism Leadership Committee and Travel Oregon's work with the 9 tribes. I have four tribal partners joining me today as part of this presentation, and I look forward to introducing them and letting really them share their story and their connection to Oregon's tourism industry. But before we begin today's presentation, I'd really like to mention the work of past tribal tourism partnerships. It's really key to how we will honor the future of this work. Thank you to the original tribal tourism supporters, people like past tourism commissioners like Dave Tuvey, DMOs like Danielle Tehama from the Willamette Valley Visitors Association, tribal enterprise representation like Roberta Connor from the Temascalette Cultural Institute. Those people have built us a legacy on this partnership and this relationship moving forward, and I just would like to thank them for helping us move this work forward. So thanks you to those that are in the audience. I also think it's really important to understand the positive economic impact our tribal partners bring to our state's economy. In 2019, the Oregon Tribal Gaming Alliance partnered with Eco Northwest on a study to showcase those positive impacts. Tribes employ almost exclusively Oregonians and mostly buy goods and services from Oregon businesses. In 2019, 8 tribes operated 10 gaming facilities in Oregon. 8 were casinos and 2 were Class II video bingo machine facilities. But besides gaming, the tribe's casino businesses offer so many other amenities. They have hotels, they have restaurants, golf courses, RV parks, conference centers, movie theaters, and multiple entertainment venues. In 2019, tribal casinos and resorts employed just over 4,500 workers and paid them just over $238 million in wages and benefits. Over 6.6 million visits were made to Oregon casinos in 2019, including more than 1.2 million visitors from out of state. Tribes donated and granted over $8 million to local charities in 2019, and $163.7 million in 1992, the year the first casino opened in Oregon. Now, if we want to do a little a trivia quiz, I didn't know this either, but it was actually an original bingo hall from the Cow Creek Band of Indians that was the first tribal casino that kicked off the Umatilla Fall soon after, and then was created the stories of the 9 tribes of Oregon. As you can see, tribes are very important to part of our state's economy and the Oregon tourism industry. And as we get started today, I think we should just go back and remind ourselves where we've been. In 2009, we had a tribal tourism working group, and they concluded their work due to what was going on in the world, the different opportunities where each tribe was. So we had a working group for a couple of years that worked really well together. They had a lot of accomplishments, one being they had this isn't the original, but they had their own Oregon Guide to Indian Country. That was a really successful guide. That work was put on pause, and in 2019, and I've heard Todd say this before, this work has always been part of our DNA, but as a staff, as an agency, we really felt that this voice was missing in our work, and we wanted to push this work forward. So we looked to our partner, Michelle Liberty, who I'm so excited is joining me here today, and hired her on as a contractor. And Michelle will tell you kind of her story later, but we went around and met with all of the tribes, and there was a real excitement about getting this work back together. Unfortunately, we all know what happened in 2019. As soon as we met with the tribes and built some excitement around this work, COVID happened. We had to put a little bit of a pause, but we quickly regained our footing and came online, and as we all got used to the virtual world, and the new and improved Tribal Tourism Leadership Committee was reborn. It took us a while to figure out online meetings and how to come together as a group, and really in this last year, we've really done some really strong accomplishments, which I'm going to share with you later. One being in 2022, we published the Oregon Guide to Indian Country. And we're also currently working to develop a list of collaborative strategic partnerships, which Todd mentioned from that February meeting. A key ingredient to developing a successful tribal tourism program, as I mentioned, is having professional help. As previously mentioned, we contracted with Michelle from Attitude Marketing in 2019. Having someone with tribal expertise who has pre-established relationships as Indian country really has been key to our work in developing our continued relationships with the 9 tribes. I'd like to turn it over to Michelle at this time to show and share with you how she supports this work.
Thank
Michelle?
you. Hello. I don't know many of you very well, so just a quick personal background. I'm a member of the Cayuse, Umatilla, and Walla Walla tribes. I was marketing director for Wild Horse Resort and Casino here for about 12 years before I left to open my own business offering marketing consulting services. As Lisa mentioned, I was contracted in 2019 to help get the Tribal Tourism Committee reorganized and active again. It, as she mentioned, had existed many years earlier in about 2006, 2008, and that group published the first travel guide to Oregon Indian Country and then disbanded a short time after that. My first task for Travel Oregon was to visit all the tribes and assess their interest in reconvening the committee. Without exception, everyone I met with was excited about the idea and wanted to relaunch the Tribal Tourism Committee. And very soon after that, we had our designated tribal representatives who committed to creating the Tribal Tourism Leadership Committee. Being able to visit every reservation and tribe and discovering all the changes and improvements and growth in the tribe's tourism assets was really exciting. A lot had changed since that first committee back in 2006. We have more product than ever to work with and a larger group of very talented, tourism-savvy tribal professionals with whom to partner. So my role involves many administrative tasks, but most especially taking care to ensure that the tribes are driving this program, that we, Travel Oregon, are respectful and mindful of the protocols to follow that are unique to each tribe, and that our collaborative efforts result in mutually beneficial results. We all see this as a win-win partnership. I have to give a quick thanks to Travel Oregon. The tribes truly appreciate the outreach and support that Travel Oregon is providing. And a huge thank you to the tribes and the tribal representatives who are making time to meet and sharing their expertise with the new committee. We have a fabulous group working together right now, so thank you.
I just wanted to take a few minutes and pause and have everybody in the room and here on the commission just take a few minutes to show you what a depth of strategic opportunity and partners that we have within the Tribal Tourism Leadership Committee. They're listed up on the screen, and we just couldn't be more excited about their contribution to the work that we've had to help this commitment to this work moving forward. So I'm just going to pause for just a second so you have a minute to read through that.
Yeah, it was important that we had representation from not only cultural resources, but gaming and economic development, because what we do covers all of that. It's a great group.
And just to give you a little bit of kind of what happens with the committee, we meet on the second Monday of every month, and it's really important to the group. We've had people from Travel Oregon staff present. We've brought in outside contractors. Really this last year, in partnership with getting the guide printed, is really this group has decided what's next? What's our mission? What's our vision? What are strategic alignment opportunities that this group have to work together? How do we align with Oregon's tourism industry? So we've been able to have a lot of really in-depth conversations about where this group is headed. We've had a lot of wins from the group, and I'd really like to walk you through, I think there's 3 big accomplishments that this group has preceded this last year, and I can't wait to share those with you. Of course, one being the Oregon Guide to Indian Country. I think you all have a copy, I believe. Thank you, Sarah, for doing that. And this guide was published in August of 2022. We printed 100,000 guides. Oregon's Tribal Guide is one of few such guides available in the country, and the demand for the publication in the first 2 days topped 16,000 guides distributed via bulk distribution. In just 2 months, a full 30% of the guides, 30,000 guides, were shipped to nearly every state across Oregon's visitor information centers. And as you can see, as of the end of the summer, we only have a little less than 25,000 guides available. So I'm not sure if you ever deal in distribution or print, but print is well alive, and we are really excited about this guide. The release of the guide was picked up across 11 local and national digital and broadcast media, with stories with nearly 143 million impressions. Media stories were substantive and went beyond merely resharing our press release with detailed quotes and perspectives from tribal representatives. But what really makes this guide special is that our tribal partners actually actively drove and participated in the editorial plan, the content, and the layout of the guide. And the creative team included several tribal writers and photographers. And I'm really excited to say that we are just starting the process of actually reprinting the guide. So we'll be doing another 100,000 reprint. We're working with Media America right now, and our staff, Mo Sheriffdean, and his team. There won't be a lot of edits. We're looking at high-level edits for the guide in regards to dates or things that might have changed since we originally did the print. And as you can see on the timeline, we're hoping to have the guides delivered by the end of October, or hopefully first part of November. I know a lot of people have asked us, what's next for the guide? When will we kind of reimagine or maybe have a new cover? When will I get the chance on being, on the cover? Or how can we do some different things? Bobby's laughing. That's a topic of conversation within the leadership committee. But we're definitely thinking probably starting that process another year and a half, which is really exciting. So we can't wait to keep you posted on the outcomes of that guide. But I think beyond the work and the partnership that went into this guide is that this guide was recently recognized on a national level by U.S. Travel Association. The guide recently won the Mercury Award, which is awarded by U.S. Travel for best printed collateral materials in the nation. The Mercury Awards recognize members for excellence and creative accomplishment in state and territory destination marketing and promotion. The Mercury Awards showcase outstanding work as well as the continued development of imagination and exciting marketing and promotional programs. I can't tell you how it felt to accept this award on behalf of the 9 tribes when we attended U.S. Travel's ESTO a few weeks ago. And we are also excited to announce each tribe will be given a physical award, and we will celebrate this accomplishment together when we meet in person in October at Seven Feathers in Canyonville. This definitely is a team effort. So. We've also had some other fun accomplishments along the way this past year. Travel Oregon and many of the Oregon's 9 tribes are long-standing members of the American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association. They also host an annual conference called the American Indian Tourism Conference. This association is very involved and aligned with U.S. Travel Association and is the national voice for American Indian nationals engaged in cultural tourism. I'm really excited to share in 2022, we took 5 of the 9 tribes to this conference. And this year we'll be taking 4 of the 9 tribes. And this is really the first time that the tribes across the state and Travel Oregon have band together to participate in a conference like this. It's really provided opportunity for networking, relationship building, and we get to meet with other tribes across the Pacific Northwest and across the nation as well. So great opportunity to see what's out there and what's next for our own leadership committee. As Todd mentioned, back in February, we were able to come together. The leadership committee found it very important that we would have twice yearly in-person meetings. Like I mentioned, we meet monthly via Zoom, and it was really a unanimous decision by the group that we needed to find some way to really connect interpersonally together. And the group really wanted to find an opportunity to have that first in-person meeting, having an open conversation about what would the mission and vision be of this group? What were strategic opportunities around alignment? We were very fortunate to hire a facilitator where we all came together and were able to have open, unbiased conversation, which led us to, at the end of that meeting, around 10 or 12 kind of priority areas that working group found important. And we walked away from that meeting to continue our monthly meetings online, and we invited our facilitator to join, and we used that time to continue that conversation to talk about how do we take this list of 12 and how do we maybe take it down to 5. And so there were a lot of in-depth conversations, and we will meet again in person in October at Seven Feathers to take that maybe list of 5 or 6 of potential work areas that you see here and hopefully narrow them down to 2 to really find some strategic opportunities outside of the guide that we can make economic impact across the state in alignment with Travel Oregon and Oregon's tourism industry and the 9 tribes. So we're really excited about that, but I'm also excited to hopefully present an update to you and maybe a spur report or work with Todd and Sarah to send you an update in that meeting and maybe one of Todd's weekly updates or find another way to communicate that because it's exciting work, and I know that the leadership committee is really excited to convene and to figure out next steps for the future of this group. So more to come on that meeting and what's to come. So now I think is the best part of this presentation. It's great that Michelle and I can align and be liaisons to this work, but this work really wouldn't happen without members of our leadership committee. So I have 3 members of our committee here today that are going to share with you some of their personal stories, the work that's happening in their own communities and their own tribal enterprises, and how they really see Oregon's tourism industry in alignment and the leadership committee working to help their work move forward. So I'd actually like to bring up now my colleague and friend Travis Hill, the Chief Operating Officer of the Umpqua Indian Development Corporation. Travis?
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming here today or inviting me here today. Really, I just kind of want to maybe start from the beginning of this project here when I was approached by Travel Oregon to sit on this panel for tribal tourism. And I was kind of leery at first, because we weren't sure there was going to be a long-term commitment from Travel Oregon on this because we've seen things come and go in the past. And so I kind of came on board with just a little bit of apprehension really to see how this project would go. And as we started working with Lisa and the Travel Oregon team, realized that they're in this for the long haul. And I've been an ambassador for this program with other tribes as well. And, a lot of tribes, we do communicate. We have functions together. And so there's a lot of camaraderie between the groups, as well as conversations about this program. And we are super proud of the publication that was put together, and we look forward to the upcoming publication here in about a year and a half or so. We've talked about different topics of maybe having a little mini series of just taking snippets out of there and within the publication, and just kind of taking a deeper dive, with the online platform, digital platform. So, for myself, I operate Umpqua Indian Development Corporation. It's the Section 17 for the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians. We are the commercial side, so we have our Seven Feathers Casino Resort. We have our RV resorts, truck and travel. We have our K-Bar ranches. Right now we have 2,700 acres in the Umpqua Valley and another 1,600 acres in the Rogue Valley. We run cattle. We do hay. We just did row crops this year, looking at sweet corn next year, onions this year. So a variation of different products there. We tried hemp a couple years ago. That didn't go very well, so we won't even go into that. But we have Anvil Northwest, which is a graphic agency, design agency. And overall, tribal operations, as far as the business operations, we employ about 1,100 individuals. And we have people commute to the casino resort operations. I think the longest commute is about 50 miles a day, or each way, from Medford. So we like to, we operate our business as a family, and and we have a strong influence in the community, as helping out and giving back to the community. So a couple projects here we've been working on. I think you see a picture right here. We acquired Pole Creek Ranch in Sisters, Oregon, about 2 years ago now, actually. This ranch was a 300 acres working ranch with the actual owner was not even looking to sell at the time. Met them at a function and had some additional conversations. They had dreams and aspirations of really enhancing the facility there. They talked about concept of a distillery. They were looking at taking the main house and turning it into a lodge for a wedding venue. And there's a lot of history within that property. So we have worked with the previous owners right now, and we are currently looking at adding some additional park models, little cabins on that property, and just really enhancing the environment there, but sticking with the roots of the property itself. Did you have another? No. Okay, perfect. Another project which is kind of fun and interesting is we've been actually the last 2 years, a year and a half, we've been vetting out EV charger vendors. Obviously, we started with Tesla. They actually started courting us originally back in 2021, being on the I-5 corridor, with the amenities we have at Exit 99 kind of being halfway between Portland and Northern California, it was just kind of a natural stop there for travelers. So we entertained their bid. We also entertained about 5 other bids as far as individuals we'd partner with for EV charging. Just 3 months ago, we selected a vendor, Electric Era, out of Seattle, to become our EV charger vendor. And so we're going to install 14 pedestals at our Exit 99 location for the EV traffic, and those should be installed probably looking at December of this year. Anything else? Okay. This was kind of winging it a little bit for us here, so if you have any questions for me, or...
Travis, maybe we can wait till the end of
Okay.
the presentation. And then I have some pointy-headed questions for you, for sure.
Sure.
Thank you, Travis. I really appreciate that.
Thank you all.
I'd next like to bring up Starla Green from the Warm Springs Community Action Team. Starla?
Good afternoon. Oops, readjust since he was pushing it. So thank you for the invite, and thank you for having me, and thank you, Commission, for your time. So I am Starla Green. I'm an enrolled member of the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs, and so I'm currently employed and work for the Warm Springs Community Action Team, which is a nonprofit organization for the tribe, and actually retired out of law enforcement and decided to start something new. So I ended up actually came on board with the Community Action Team to start and manage a food cart. And so the Warm Springs Community Action Team is basically an organization where we help, I guess, rejuvenate and revitalize the tribe. Warm Springs over the years has its ups and downs, more downs than ups lately within the last decade or so. And so with Community Action Team, we're trying to bring back small businesses and support small business and private entrepreneurs. Obviously, tourism took a great big hit for the last basically decade. And once we lost, obviously, the infamous Canida, and so in 2018 that closed. And then a lot of other things, the movement with the casino, and then the downfall of even the museum, a lot of financial stuff. So it affected us in the tourism industry. I mean, basically it was at a standstill. And now coming back to the Community Action Team, we're trying to figure out ways to basically start revitalizing Warm Springs itself, knowing where we lay, obviously, in basically the gateway to Central Oregon, right over Mount Hood. You hit, off the mountain, you're hitting the high desert, and you're in Warm Springs. So with all the intense, heavy, high traffic area there, we're well aware of the numbers that are just going by us. So with Warm Springs, with the Community Action Team, we started a few different projects. And one of our biggest projects is that, and I'm ahead of, is the general manager for the commissary project. Some may or may have heard of the commissary project. But what we did, like I stated, we have very limited area, even business and infrastructure, brick and mortar for even small business to even exist or even start in Warm Springs. So we found a way. We took this building that was a 126-year-old building that was originally placed there by the BIA as a commissary back then. It's been sat for several years, so we decided we'll just move a building. So we decided we picked it up and moved it next to the highway with a whole goal and a dream of creating a big complex project right there. That way we can obviously pull in and draw from the tourists driving by or the business people driving by. This has been a long project, and so it started before I even came on to the Community Action Team, which is almost 4 years now. But now, so I progressed from a food cart manager to the general manager of the commissary project somehow. But so we moved the building, so it's a long project. And our whole goal is to basically give rebirth back into the main section, or basically, if you're driving down Highway 26 through Warm Springs, that is pretty much what you see. So right now you see an old 2-story building sitting there. We are now in the process of getting it all cleaned up, and the construction on it, physical construction, won't start until next year. We've been raising funds diligently, and they're coming along. We're probably about 75% there. It's a $4.3 million project with everything we want to put in there. So we are getting closer. Right now, we actually are working with Travel Central Oregon for got on a mural trail, and so we are actually currently going to have basically a mural that's the size of this building, and so that was it's like a 40-foot by 20-foot mural that says, you see them, greetings from Madras, greetings from sisters, all that. So we're going to have greetings from Warm Springs, but with greetings in our Indian language, and our local artists are going to be painted on that large building. So until just obviously have our artists displayed there, but as well as having just a welcome and clean site. And so eventually that site's going to turn into a small business incubator up on top, where shared working spaces, conference rooms, and down below we're going to have 4 businesses: a coffee shop, deli, our local Tenano, which is a local tribal artisan group, co-op. So currently they're located in a complex next to the casino. So they support over 35, 40 local artists, beadworkers, art people. And so they're going to be in there as well as a couple open business areas and a pop-up venue for either any kind of person who wants to utilize that space. Also put in an outdoor pavilion, food cart pavilion, and so which have space for food carts, but also because of the weather issues are so drastic right there. After 3 years running a food cart, I mean, we're dealing with water pipes and freezing pipes and 120-degree temperatures. So we're actually building, we call them short house kitchens. This rigs probably the size of the food carts, but they're actually brick and mortar. So just so I don't have to battle with the temperatures. Also putting in a commercial kitchen to sustain obviously the whole complex, but also local business people who are basically already have food businesses, as well as to support our like a commercial fisherman and our others too, so they can support their business. So, and the whole idea there is also to install or build restrooms to support the traffic coming off the road as well. So that is a big thing that's happening. Hopefully we can get that off the ground. And it's a dream. It's a lot of work. So, but in the meantime, I started the Twisted Teepee food cart. So we started as one person. Now we have staff. A training program that goes through there, and now we have 2 food carts. So I guess it's Twisted Teepee 2. But the second food cart is actually a driving mural, basically, a traveling mural. So we had a local artist paint it so some of the scenery has Mount Jefferson and Mount Hood on it. So as you see it driving around, and so with an Indian woman on the back. So it's kind of unique. So when people see it, it kind of stands out. So over the summer, we actually put that on the road. We traveled to rodeos, fairs, different events, the first Thursday events and markets and some private. We do started catering. Started with a couple meals to meetings, and then it turned into large white tablecloth cater. I mean, it has grown immensely, and just sharing our local foods that we have in Warm Springs. To the point where we end up catering for our firefighters doing a big fire we had this year. So that turns into a big thing. But the biggest news is Canida. Canida is reopening. It was tentatively was supposed to open this year. It did close in 2018, and then so went through a lot of trials, and people, different financiers want to come in, but lucky for us, the Hanna brothers from the Ski Bowl picked up as one of the funding partners with the tribe. The tribe still owns it. The Hanna brothers are as a funding partner, as well as working directly with our economic development director to actually manage and run. So they did present me with some information. I've seen the mock-ups of it. Unfortunately, they're supposed to send them to me, but our director had COVID, so everything was in lockdown, so I couldn't even bring them. So I'm like, oh, wow. So, but many have probably either been to Canida. Actually, that picture there, if you look, you're at the Warm Springs River, where the Canida is, and a little farther down is actually where Canida is, where this gentleman is actually overlooking is of the Warm Springs River. So with the whole idea of Canida, one of the biggest delays why they failed to open this year is in May, we had a big, massive, storm flood come through that pretty much devastated a lot of the draws and some of the Canida property, as well as, it just flash flooded. I live in a canyon too, when a small little creek that's usually not even 4 feet wide and then a foot deep is turning a massive, filled this room. It just flash flooded, it just devastated certain areas, and Canida was one of them. So uprooted trees and, walls of the river almost rerouted stuff. So unfortunately that delayed the opening of Canida. And so to be able to recoup from that, so they're going to, the email I talked to them, I got their next date is June of next year as their opening. But I'll take my glasses so I can actually see this. Some of their things that they're looking forward to. If you've been to Canada in the past, it was obviously it was geared towards more of the family oriented, and then pools, they took the slide away, but now they're actually focusing more on the mineral springs of what it was there to begin with. So they're putting in 7 pools actually different soaking tubes. So actually I have three full-size soaking hot tubs. So that are either 102 to 104 degrees, and then I have some with some poolside cabanas, private cabanas coming in our lazy river. Within that, they also have a little fitness or sports pool within the lazy river. I can picture the mock-up when they send it to me. They're doing actually a new sports bar and restaurant down at the village. The lodge is not being open; it's the village area where they're focused on right now. The 30-room hotel, hotel room, all been remodeled, and then in those, if I remember right, they are piping the mineral springs into those tubs as well. And so, the new RV park has been all redone and has new facility there as well. New teepees all prepped, new clubhouse down at the teepee area. They have the sports bar, but also putting a restaurant down in at the village area. But they're also bringing in outside food carts, food trailers, to basically accommodate and change the menu up for individuals there. Keeping a lot of the same outdoor area, little sports like the outdoor games and things. But one of the things they are trying to rebuild and redo is actually they're selling pavers. So they're in front of the bathhouse. There is a large area where they're pushing out to you can join the Canada Club and then actually buy these pavers and then your name and family name or whoever you want on it is going to be there forever, I guess. And so if you actually I went on a website this morning and you can see the renderings and see little videos that I picked up. This was actually first time I've seen them. So it's really cool if you actually go and visit it and look at it, and then it gives you a really good update of what's happening there. So as far as that, and then other things with Canada, I think we're moving along. They're just trying to survive this and hopefully no storms. No more storms coming in. That freak storms came in. Other things in Warm Springs we're doing, the museum at Warm Springs, as well as our casino down there. And so EV Sites there has little shops down below by the casino. We do have some local fishing guides that obviously run the Deschutes River and Warm Springs River, which is all going to be tied back into Canada as well. They're going to utilize those. The other thing with Canada, they're going to utilize the Warm Springs River for more kayaking, rafting, drifting, as well as for that, as well as fishing guides. They have a future of turning one of the old manager's house into a wedding venue and small, and then different. Then there's larger scales, but that's a few years out from other plans. So we're looking forward to that. So that is the update, the most current update, and on Canada. And so.
Thanks, you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you.
And the last of our tribal partners that I'd like to bring up is Roberta Connor. She's the director of Tremascalate Cultural Institute. Bobby?
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you, Lucinda and commissioners. This is fun for a couple of reasons, one of which is there's a few of you I can tease, but Michelle mentions that she had 12 years been the marketing director at Wild Horse, and she moved home to the Confederated Tribes a few months after I moved home to the Confederated Tribes. And I became the director of Temeslik shortly before she became the director of marketing at Wild Horse, and one of our very first adventures was going to ITB as rookies, not with Travel Oregon, but on our own. With amazingly, I'm not quite sure how it happened, but we actually got support of the Bureau of Indian Affairs to do that, which hasn't happened since. But the notable thing about that trip was that we were not with Travel Oregon. Subsequently, we were with Travel Oregon, but there were only 3 states in the North American Pavilion that had tribes with them. And Florida, with the Seminole and the Miccosukee, Oklahoma, which has 39 tribes in the state, so it was multi-tribal, and Oregon. And I've always been proud of the fact that starting in 1999, from our first foray on our own to subsequent many years traveling to WTM and ITB or ETB, with Travel Oregon that we've had this strong partnership. And while the metrics for measuring the investment in going overseas to market are a little bit tough, I can guarantee you that before COVID, we had successive years where we had visitors from 34 and 37 countries at Temeslik Cultural Institute, which is in what was formerly a wheat field in the middle of nowhere in eastern Oregon. And that's pretty phenomenal. So that's a big change from not having a building there to having a multi-million-dollar museum to be able to get visitors from more than 36 countries overseas. And we're proud of that partnership. As you know, your tourism partners here from the tribes, including my former boss and friend Dave Tubby, that we're not only your partners in tourism, but we are the descendants of the indigenous peoples who have been welcoming for millennia travelers to this place, these places that are special to us. And these foreigners who have come to visit these places that are special to us, our homelands, happened before state government, before Travel Oregon, and before there was a tourism commission. And so our tradition of hospitality is something we're pretty proud of. It's manifested in a lot of ways differently in each of the tribal nations. And as Michelle and Lisa referred to the Traveler's Guide to Indian Country in Oregon, that is a pretty nice menu of opportunities to shop in Oregon. And what really makes it remarkable is you can use the guide to tie into any other Oregon travel guide and launch or leverage those locations from any of the other collateral pieces that market Oregon. One of the dynamics of the settler relationship worked to our disadvantage for a couple of hundred years, but we're regaining our foothold. As Starla and Travis described, in their communities, we're reinvigorating our cultures. We are leading our regions in economic development, and we're contributing to the livability in all of our homelands. And as diverse as our locations are, that's really important because we're spread across the state, and most of us are in rural Oregon, where we most need help with livability and economic development. I want to just iterate, you've heard a little about what we're up to. I just want to sort of iterate some of the benefits of this partnership between Travel Oregon and the tribes. We add depth and dimension and value to what this product Oregon is. And what the tribes bring to the table, especially to our rural economies, is something that is authentic, that is place-based, and that has a uniqueness that is not only Oregon and is tribal, but it is attractive to international and domestic travelers because most people have never heard of us. We are the least talked about, least known tribes probably in perhaps the West. The 9 tribes that are partners with Travel Oregon, not only on the guide but in the Leadership Council, bring not only tourism opportunities or destinations, we have other assets, and those assets are things you can't buy. The culture and the knowledge of ecosystems and the traditions of each of these Native peoples groups is not something that is available in any marketplace to buy. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that we have tribal marketing experts and tribal cultural experts at the table in this work, and that has not always been the case. We have had difficulty convening all at the same time and having the resources to convene, and with the support of Travel Oregon, we are bringing culture and tourism and travel experts to the table together. You are interested in doing the same things according to your strategic plan that we are. Protecting our natural environment, ensuring safe spaces, growing economic stability, promoting respect for our diverse and particular and even peculiar places and our diverse cultures in Oregon. expanding tourism has potential positive impacts in rural communities that have yet to be realized. When we have conference calls about places that are the best blackout, darkout experiences in Oregon, there are no amenities for many of those places that are best on that list. And there are, as outfitters know, there are many places where outfitters have come and gone, where stability in the industry has a lot to do not only with federal and other partners and agencies, but also has to do with support of communities along those waterways and those byways for horseback and other travel. And one of the things that tribes bring to the table in working with outdoor folks is a story that's yet to be told about the pictographs and the petroglyphs and the historic and cultural places that are all over Oregon that are seen but not understood. Also, we work together, and one of the things that I think this causes is for your state tourism agency to be more highly valued in the United States among its peers, not just because of the industry award that the guide got, but when we were at the American Indian Alaska Native Tourism Association conference last year, we were the only group of tribes with our state agency at that national conference. There was no other state agency in tourism with a collection of tribes traveling together as a unit, and I am very proud that we were that state. The partnership between Travel Oregon and the tribes not only increases equity and gathers, with your help, more respect and credibility for our tribal communities, but also for our culture, which has not always enjoyed that respect. And we think that Travel Oregon has accumulated a lot of goodwill, not only working with tribes, but working with others in the national level because of its partnership with tribes. I think it affects your credibility. And of course, the most important thing, it makes Oregon a better product to work with us. I mean, it's a better product to promote. So I want to thank you. We're, as mentioned earlier, we're working on everything from strategy to signage, and signage is probably more controversial and difficult than strategy. Whether it's ODOT or state parks, or depends on the agency, but we're in this together, and I think that that's the part that makes it most enjoyable. We are sister tribes, brother tribes. We may be competitive. I guarantee you we're competitive, but we're all really proud of this partnership and really proud of what we are able to do together, because not all of the tribes at the table have the same resources. Not all of them are in the same business cycle of success and development, and not all of the tribes at the table are able to attend all of the meetings or to take the time to travel, because some of the people, while we may wear many hats, and you heard Starla and Travis, number of hats we wear is sort of uncounted. We have colleagues who wear twice as many hats as we do. And so we're really grateful that this has been a patient collaboration. It's not been overnight, and we thank you for not only your graciousness but your patience, because we expect to do great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Michelle and Travis and Starla and Bobby. I really do appreciate you.
Are we here for Todd's evaluation?
Sure. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, what next? I mean, I think that that's what we're thinking too, right? We're looking on the horizon. We're really looking forward to that October meeting and what's going to come out of that in regards to priorities. You can see a couple of kind of priorities here, but I think the most important part, and Todd and I actually had a long conversation about this, and Bobby said it really well, it's really about the relationship. It's really about the partnership, and there's so much exciting work ahead, but most importantly, Native American experiences are those premier experiences that are inspiring travel. They make Oregon remarkable, and they give us all the opportunity to keep this work directly tied to our vision. Oregon Oregon offers remarkable experiences, but not without our partnerships. And it offers them statewide. It offers them in all corners of the state. And I just couldn't be more proud of this work and what's ahead. So thank you to the commission for just listening, for being open to this work and helping us move it forward. And I'd like to close with, if you have any questions, we'd all be available to answer any. So thank you.
Lisa, thank you. If I may, as we kind of segue to questions, I do want commissioners to know that even though we set up this briefing as 2 to 3, we don't need to worry about a hard stop. Chair's permission on that one, so we don't have to worry about a hard stop. If you do have questions, we really felt, we being the Tribal Tourism Leadership Committee and the staff at Travel Oregon, thought of doing a deep dive on our tribal tourism work would be valuable, and I hope you found it that way. You heard me choke up a little bit at the beginning, and it's because something Bobby said, and also something Travis said and something Starla said, but Bobby went last, and I've known Bobby the longest, and I think I was one of those people that Bobby said, I've known most of you long enough that I could tease you. But Bobby, you have been patient. You've been patient with me, and sometimes appropriately impatient with me. And the work that we do together, and have been beyond gracious in your hospitality, in sharing your wisdom and your experience with us. And I am very, very grateful for the friendship that we share and for this partnership that we share now through this Tribal Tourism Leadership Committee. When I was at the meeting in February, and some of you have heard me tell this story, but I think this is an appropriate time just to offer it to the group, and I shared it at an all-staff meeting last week, knowing that we were coming over, and I was briefing them on this particular meeting. After a day and a half or so of great conversations, one of the tribal members raised their hand and said, you know, this is a question I probably shouldn't ask. Maybe it's not appropriate to ask, but I need to ask it. And he said, why is Travel Oregon doing this? Who's told you to do this? Who told you to be here? Who told you to do this work with the tribes? And we had several staff that were in the room, and they all very quickly, graciously, turned and looked at me like, Davidson, this one's yours. You're going to answer. And I was, candidly, I was happy for the question, because I had the opportunity to stand up and basically share. We're here because we believe it's the right thing to do. Nobody's told me to be here. Nobody's told Travel Oregon to be here. Rest assured, the governor knows about the work of this group. The commission knows about the work of this group. The commission is excited about the work of this group. The governor has been notified about the award for the publication, because I was sharing it with our policy advisor, and he wanted me to send him a recap so that he could make sure she knew about that, because he knew it was something she'd want to know. And because it was born out of that partnership, not because the guide won, but because of what led to an award-winning guide. And so this work is it's good work, and it's really important work. And, you know, Bobby, Lisa, your closing comments there, you know, nailed it. You know, that our story is richer when it's the complete story. And your stories are the Oregon story. And we do well when we remember that and celebrate that. So with that, I'd happily opening it up for questions. And I thought I saw your hand start to go up, David. Was I wrong? Were you just playing with your pen?
I would be happy to start it.
I had a feeling you had a question. I thought you'd started to raise your hand there.
No, you know, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Starla, Travis, and my good friend, Bobby. You know, what you touched on, Bobby, you know, over the years, and as I was thinking about tourism, there's been a lot of sacrifices. And this tourism is just a small piece of it. And I've seen a part of it throughout the state where our Native Americans have given so much in this industry. And Lisa, I was so happy to hear you start your, you know, presentation, jobs. Because at the end of the day, those sacrifices, what are the results? Economic impact, jobs. And that's a piece I would love to hear more of as we move forward, because that's where the needle really moves. It really tells us if we're doing what we're saying we're going to be doing or plan to do from a vision strategic plan. And this, no question about it, ties into it 100%. I also just want to say that I was very fortunate enough with Travel Oregon to travel to Japan, Jeddah, a big conference. There was 100,000+ people attend, and the Warm Springs brought a delegation that I would say that of all the events and things happening there, stole the show. It shut it down. It was the most impactful thing that I've seen there, and I've never forgotten that. It's always been a great experience going over to Warm Springs and also bringing visitors over there as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the progress, Starla, on many things that you touched on as it continues to move forward, and I hope you do keep us updated. Thank you.
You know, David, if I can, just dovetailing off your comment, one of my key learnings from the time together in February that I referenced earlier was leaving that meeting with a much stronger appreciation and understanding of the role that what we see as the leisure, entertainment, gaming side, what it means to the tribes in terms of education, healthcare, and more, you know. And it just, you know, it left me feeling as we left here, how can we better tell this story as we tell the tribal story, you know, so that our visitors also understand that, you know, the full and complete richness of the role that entertainment, leisure, gaming side play in the livelihood and well-being of the tribes and the tribal members themselves. So it was a great learning for me from that particular meeting. I appreciate you touching on that. So, other questions or comments of any kind? Maria, please.
Thank you. Just a quick comment. Thank you again for the presentation. It's really a follow-up to what you just said, Todd. I think that what is so important is to tell the story of the tribes, and I do believe that sometimes that's missed, right? Because we're coming to casinos. That's where we're supposed to go to support this community. What you're doing in Warm Springs has such great potential for telling greater stories, like a cultural center, because for me, that's where I want to go. I want to see the art. I want to hear the stories. I want to preserve that heritage. So if there are other places that we can go to support, I really encourage that. So I really, you know, I'm so glad to hear that you're doing that, and glad to hear Kenita's coming back. So thank you. Thanks.
Todd, may I? First, I want to thank Lisa for starting the presentation with really speaking to the contributions the tribes make to Oregon, make to rural Oregon, and not all of the tribes have a casino, but that is the one location that really helps support services, programs, cultural centers. And so I am a strong supporter of making sure that we do drive them to, right, the casino, to that place. And when you get to that place, then you learn something remarkably different about each of the tribes. I want to congratulate Travel Oregon and the 9 federally recognized tribes for receiving this award. This project, the first of the new Tribal Tourism Work Group, is an example of what my late husband, Chief Don Ivey, would call the good work. Doing the hard work on behalf of community, on behalf of others, for no other reason than it being the absolute right thing to do. I know we've spoken about it, but I've seen firsthand how this work has been embraced with the formation of this group in 2019 and the thoughtful intention of Travel Oregon to foster and build relationships with the tribes. My sincere thanks to Michelle Liberty for helping foster and strengthen those relationships. This work couldn't have been done without you, Michelle, so thank you. As it's also been said, it's so rewarding to be recognized at a national level for this publication. But to me, what is even more rewarding is that all 9 tribes participated in this guide and entrusted Travel Oregon to share their stories and to showcase their tribal tourism assets. And that takes time. That's about building the relationships. There's so many people to thank, and I'm going to do it, so I hope I haven't forgotten anyone, but I'm going to say thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Harry, Kevin, Katie, Mark, Michael, Staj, Matthew, Teresa, Michelle, Todd, Megan, and the Media America team, the members of the Tribal Tourism Work Group, and most importantly, the 9 federally recognized tribes of Oregon. We've set the bar high, and I can't wait to see what is next on the horizon. So thank you for this presentation. It's even more meaningful to me that we happen to be on a tribal property. We are on the Umatilla Indian Reservation, so to be able to report this information out here to me is so incredibly special. So thank you. Since Travis is here, can I also congratulate, I would like to congratulate Travis Hill on his recent nomination by Governor Kotek to serve on the Oregon Tourism Commission, replacing Mia Shepherds, whose term is expiring. The confirmation hearing following Senate approval will take place later this month, and I am beyond thrilled, as he knows, that he will be on the commission in December. And I said I wasn't going to say this, but I will. Do not screw it up, Travis. We look forward to having you on the commission in December. Now we are going to go into executive session shortly, but I wanted to explain why we're doing that work. Over the course of the past year, immediate past Chair Boyles and I have looked for ways to make the CEO evaluation process more efficient. Past practice was to select a review committee, and each commissioner was tasked with completing a 360 review. Members of the review committee were assigned to conduct 3 one-on-one interviews with commissioners, and the review committee met with the CEO to conduct the performance evaluation. Going forward, we have changed this practice, eliminating the one-on-one interviews, instead choosing to go into an executive session for the purpose of conducting the CEO's performance evaluation. We believe this is more efficient and allows the commission to meet with our CEO in its entirety. So with that said, we will meet pursuant to ORS 192.660-2D for the purpose of reviewing and evaluating the employment-related performance of the Chief Executive Officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing. Since no decisions will be made in executive session, once the review is completed, we will adjourn the meeting. Any outcomes will be stated at tomorrow's commission meeting. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All members of the audience at this time are asked to leave. We will take a 10-minute recess, but I would like to state I look forward to the next couple days in Pendleton. This is my first experience at the Roundup, so can't wait to just spend some time with all the wonderful opportunities that we'll have. Thank you.